we can, are you ready to go? Is it, I don't know if this is just your video that you're having trouble with.
Yeah, just the video. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Jamie Bova,
Here.
Lynn Underwood Segley,
Here.
Catherine Leonard,
Here.
Angela McCalla,
Here.
Justin S. McLaughlin,
Here.
Jean Marie Napolitano,
Jean, you're on mute.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Here.
and Susan D. Taylor.
Here.
There's a quorum present, Madam Chair.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone who signed up for the, or who would like to speak in the Citizens Forum? If you are attending via Zoom and would like to speak, you can click the raise hand button. And if you are on the phone and would like to speak, you can press *9. And if in the Citizens Forum, just a reminder, is for items that are not on the docket. So if you want to speak on something that's a part of the docket, I will make it clear when the time to speak for those items is. Madam Clerk, could you please begin calling on people?
I see Hilary B, but Hilary, you do have an item on the consent calendar. So were you addressing the council on something other than that?
I don't know if she's able to speak yet.
Okay. Next,
There
HP admin. I'm not sure who that is. If you could identify your name and address for the record.
HP admin, can you please identify yourself with your full name and address for the record? You should be able to speak.
Hi. Can you hear me?
So we can hear Hillary, but there was also someone that is identified in the Zoom participants list as HP_admin. Can that person please identify themselves?
Rich Hudson.
Thank you. So Hillary, we're going to have time for you to speak later on when we get to your item in the consent calendar. And so we'll allow Rich to speak. Rich, can you please identify yourself with your full name and address for the record?
Rich Hudson, 66 Girard Avenue, number 323, Newport.
Thank you. So you have 3 minutes, so please go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure that I should speak now. I was waiting for the agenda in terms of the Wayfinder Hotel in the entertainment license.
Okay, when we get to that item, I will identify when the time is for public input, and you can raise your hand again then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Linda Letendre.
Can you please identify yourself with your name and address for the record? You may have to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. Linda Letendre, 25 McAllister Street, Newport, Rhode Island.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
What did she just say? She just asked you to go ahead with what you wanted to say. Oh, I want to talk on the restaurant at 580 Thames Street.
So with that item, when we get to that item on the docket, there'll be time for you to comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, the Citizens Forum is if you want to speak on anything that's not on the docket. And so I think that we can move on at this point because I don't see any more participant hands up. So we can go forward with the consent calendar.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of the consent calendar in its entirety with the exception of item F, which is a communication from Hilary B, since she wants to speak.
Second.
And
There is a
before
motion
proceeding to-
and a second by Councilor Napolitano. If there's discussion on the council, I'll address Councilor Taylor.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out that we, on the council, we've received a memo during the last few days clarifying that item number B2, the special event relating to the yoga classes in Morton Park, the time frame is 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., not 9:30 p.m.
Yes. Thank you, Councilor Taylor. Councilor Leonard?
I had two items I wanted to talk about and pull, B2 and B4.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Leonard. We will pull those and vote on them separately.
And F.
That one as well has already been pulled. Is there further discussion on the council on the remaining docket items?
I'd like to recuse myself on B4.
Councilor McCalla, when we get to that item, you can recuse. So the motion that we have in front of us is the consent calendar minus items B2, B4, and item F. So we'll move to vote on those and discuss them going forward. Right now, we have the remaining items on the consent calendar.
Okay, apologies.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I will do the roll call vote for the consent calendar. Here we go. Councilor Segley.
Aye.
Councilor Leonard.
Aye.
Councilor McCalla.
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano.
Aye.
Councilor Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bova. Aye. The motion passes.
A special event license, Mend LLC DBA Yoga Class with Mend in Morton Park.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve this application for these special events to occur in Morton Park.
Second.
There is a motion and a second by Councilor Napolitano. Is there discussion on the council? Councilor Leonard?
I have a question. I think it's good that people want to do exercise, especially during this COVID crisis, but the application did not have amplified music. And I talked to the person who has that yoga class, and she said that amplified music would be part of it. And I know that we've received complaints about amplified music at Battery Park and on the Point. So I know this is for an hour a day, and it's basically for 6 weeks, but the applicant does not have amplified music. So I don't know. I mean, my concern is that we would get complaints from neighbors like we did in the Point, and the applicant said she would do her best not to have the music permeate throughout the neighborhood. But I guess what I'd like to know is, if it becomes a problem, how would we address this without having it go on for a month or so past the problems beginning, if they do?
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. I believe that we have someone who submitted the item that has their hand raised who would like to speak. Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Lexi Geschke? Can you please identify yourself with your name and address for the record?
This is Lexi and Brooke speaking from Med Yoga at 4 Quality Park Place, Newport.
Thank you. Can you address any of the concerns that Councilor Leonard brought up?
Sure. First, I'll say thank you to the council for adding this to the agenda tonight. And Councilor Leonard, thank you for your question. We're excited to bring our classes to the parks and would be happy to answer the questions of amplification. We were under the impression that amplification meant microphone amplification, which I think was part of the reason that the point was disturbed by our presence. The music itself, it will be at the same levels that it was last summer, where we conducted over 10 pop-ups in a Quality Park Place. We would stay at a Quality Park, but given the social distancing obligation that we have to our customers and to the prioritized safety of Rhode Islanders, we've chosen Morton Park. We would be happy to address any concerns that neighbors have over volume as classes continue. So if we get permission to continue with volume, not microphone, just speaker usage for music, and get any requests or complaints from the council or the neighbors, we'd be happy to accommodate them.
Okay, thank you, Lexi.
Thank you, and I think that Morton Park is a good fit as well, because it's big enough that they can be removed from the neighbors as much as possible, and much more so than they were in Battery Park. Is there further discussion on the council, Councilor Leonard?
I just want to say that Lexi's yoga class with men is not the same yoga class that was at Battery Park. I don't want to cast any shadows over what she does. But the application, I guess, would have to be amended to say that there's music, but without amplification.
I would ask the city solicitor if he believes it would need to be amended. I don't know that it would need to.
It's a special event license, and it's been described what's going to happen there. There is going to be music without a microphone like you see in exercise classes. So I think what you have is a special event application as with further details from the applicant. So I think that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a
There's
motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. There's a motion with a second by Councilor Napolitano. If there's no further discussion on the council, I will move to hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley.
Aye.
Councilor Leonard.
Aye.
Councilor McCalla.
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano.
Aye.
Councilor Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bova. Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Application for special event bike Newport, DBA 10 spot ride.
Madam
This
Chair, I
is,
move that we approve this application.
thank you. There's a motion with a second by Councilor Segley, and this item, Councilor McCalla will be recusing herself. Is there discussion on the council? Councilor Leonard.
I just have a couple of questions. This is an event that goes into private locations, which I think is good for social distancing. It said on the application that there would be, I think it said less than 100 people riding. It is a very busy weekend. So my question is, would these bike riders be together, or it seemed like they would take their time and bike ride individually?
Is there a person from this application? Can we please recognize Barry Freeman?
Barry, you can go ahead.
I don't think that. There we go.
Okay, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your question, Kate. The 100 participants maximum will be, the only assignment will be their starting point. So there'll be presumably 10 participants assigned to each of the 10 starting locations, to the 10 spots to spread them out over town. And then over the course of 5 hours, they'll move about the town at their own pace along the roads that they choose. So we don't expect any large groups at all.
Okay, so no tie-ups. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Sedgley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye. Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Communication from Hilary B.
Madam Chair, I move that we receive this communication and approve the proposal subject to details being worked out with the city administration.
Is there a second? I'll second the item for discussion. There is a motion and a second. I know that Hilary B is on the line. So if there's discussion on the council with questions for her, can the councilors who do have questions, please raise their hands. Councillor Leonard?
My question is just like others that propose to set up displays, is how long would the display be up? And I guess that's my big question.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Hilary B, can you please address that question?
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. This is Hilary B at 62 Thames Street, Newport, Rhode Island. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mayor, for having me today and having this proposal on the docket. I'm welcoming and happy to answer any questions. I'm also open to your suggestions and recommendations as well. As of right now, I don't have a set time. I'm looking for recommendations and suggestions, as I just mentioned. I'm open to make it temporary. Obviously, I want it to be something that can be created or installed with the help of the community or persons from the community, which could also be persons here in your city council in the city of Newport. This could also evolve into something more permanent. I had just emailed via a news interview. I have forwarded to you, Mayor Bova, and to Laura, some example photographs in case you didn't see them from my previous correspondence. They are example photographs from the original inspiration from another creative professional who is been sharing and installing this nature type of memorial, both in her city and state in Portland, Oregon, but also having shared it with other folks around the country. It has been installed both temporary, but also some that are more permanent as well. So the most recent email I forwarded to you and Laura does show examples of both. A more temporary version would be, if I may describe, would be something in the nature of laminated photographs and artificial or fresh floral arrangements adorned around the photographs, and they would be tied or attached to some type of existing material in the environment. So say if it was in a park, which was my original idea proposal, to install this at the Martin Luther King Community Center Park, where they recently had the Newport's Black Lives Matter March, then the articles would be tied to the chain link fence in a fashion to show both recent Black Lives Lost, but also Black heroes and historic figures that have paved the way for fighting and helping to change any injustice and inequality in our country for Black and Indigenous people of color. Other places I have seen them do the same, laminate or print photographs that are then hung or arranged in an interior glass window so they can be viewed from people to enjoy from the outside of the window. I have also seen any in parks or outdoor spaces, any type of fencing material. They have been able to attach them to the fencing materials fairly easily. I'm also open to, creating our own display mechanism to house the photos. I think I'm more interested in something like that is self-containing and that won't potentially harm or cause any damage to any public facing property. Rather, it could be something constructed and can be easily constructed and torn down as needed, but it could be something that's more architectural that could hold and house the photographs of the display of the photographs and or flowers as well. Something that could be open-ended where people could move freely in and out of the space to enjoy and engage with the content. I'm also hoping that this could grow into something that is more maybe prompt driven or engagement driven, so that we're not just memorializing, but we're also providing a safe space for people to question, to discuss, to learn. It would be something that would be an educational prompt, if you will. So I'm, these are all ideas that are coming in, and, myself and other people's suggestions. And I'm definitely open to the community's involvement. It's not about me. It's something that I feel it's all of our moral obligation to do something as a community, as a city, as a town, as a state. So I'm just hoping, this is just one way to look at it and go about it. And, by all means, it's not the end all be all.
Thank you, Hilary.
Welcome.
I also have another just follow-up question to Councillor Leonard's before I recognize some of the other councillors. When you say that you haven't decided on the length or whether it would be permanent or temporary, what do you foresee being how you figure that out? I know that when we approve this, it's subject to the details being worked out with the city administration, but I think it's important for us to have an idea of how that decision would work, because it's a big difference between approving something permanently versus temporarily.
Sure. Great question. So I think if it was temporary, then it would be closer to the original idea proposal, which would be simply laminated photographs that are hang tied with fresh or artificial flowers adorned to memorialize, the people in the photographs and honor with their names. And that would be hung along, in an organized, attractive fashion along the chain link fence in the park behind the MLK Center. Or there could be another park that you as the city may recommend or feel is better suited, because the whole idea is that this is for the community, it's for the citizens, it's for the people. So we don't necessarily want to, put it in a place where it won't be easily accessible or, viewed and seen by all citizens of the community or visitors too. We have, many people coming and going, tourists. This would be something that would be a great thing for the city to have as a representation of their community as well. So that would be an example of a more temporary thing, which is totally fine if we just want to do that to start, and maybe we can continue the conversation or proposal for something that is more of a constructed installation, which could also be somewhat temporary, but it could be something that is a little more architectural and more interactive, if you will. So that would
Thank
be
you.
something of like an architectural, say four posts with I don't want to say a roof, but I'm thinking like, 4 columns with a some type of archway. It would be built out of wood, like a hall, maybe something that mimics one of our American institutions, a city hall type, but on a smaller scale, obviously. So that could be something in the future. I think for now, maybe it's easier or best to just utilize the space that we have, the public space that we have, where we can safely install and easily install and remove it. And if it's more on the temporary level that I just mentioned, then I would guess that they probably would last or uphold with the weather and the elements. They probably be fine for about 2 weeks. And then it would probably need to be either taken down or reinstalled for it to look nice.
Thank you, Hilary.
Welcome.
Councilor Napolitano, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, it was the time frame, but I believe that Hillary kind of answered it. If it were outside, I mean, it looks lovely on the fence.
Mhm.
I know that we also put a time limit on any kind of display outside, particularly from poles and things like that. But, as far as a more permanent structure, I don't know right now. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, which is why we're meeting the way we are. So that concerns me a bit. But I think the idea on the fence with a limited time frame, because you're right, the elements, the weather, and also we don't know the potential for any kind of vandalism. So I would suggest a time limit on it.
Thank you, Councilor Napolitano. I think that's a good idea. Councilor Segway, did you have a question?
Yes, I would feel more comfortable with a timeline also, and I think 2 weeks is probably something that I feel comfortable with. A couple of the questions I have to do with the laminated photographs. Would they be waterproof, Hilary?
Thank you. Great questions. I believe they would be to a point. I would have to look into my options for lamination. I think it depends on what type of, if it's a more solid substrate, almost like a cardboard thickness lamination, then yes, it would most likely be waterproof. If it was a lighter, thinner, less stiff substrate, then it would likely not be waterproof. Obviously, my preference would be the latter, would be to make it more of the thicker, harder, more resistant substrate so that they could be reused again. They could be utilized maybe in something more permanent or something more solid for the future.
That the display would be in a city park, and that does not belong to the Martin Luther King Center, that little park.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you envision watching out for it, and taking down the dead flowers, and just keeping up with it? I could picture people taking the artificial flowers and maybe strewing them around. I don't know. I'm just wondering who is going to look at it on a daily basis to make sure that it is in good condition.
That's a great question. I have spoken to the MLK Center originally, and they were interested in supporting it. They just couldn't, affirmatively commit to, making it happen or creating it, but they would like to support it. So it's possible that between myself and them, we might be able to garner volunteers that would like to participate in the installation, both installing it, and then also keeping an eye on it. The nice thing about having it there is that it is right there in their backyard space. So it doesn't require somebody going very far just to keep an eye on it if that's what it is. But I'm also willing to.
They do take care of that park on a daily basis. I mean, there is an understanding between the city and Martin Luther King to watch out for that park. And I live very close to there, so I know, a lot of the things that some of the issues that have happened there. And so I would feel most comfortable having a time frame, and also knowing that there will be someone who will be watching out for any kind of vandalism or trash or anything like that. So, but I think it's a nice idea, and I think it's something that is a great idea for the community.
Thank you so much. If I may, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you, in your opinion, because they also at the MLK Center said, just off the top, I'm sure there are other spaces that could likely be recommended, but they thought that the Freedom Park, which is nearby, could also be a potential great space because it's not very large. It's very accessible and visible.
You mean, you mean the Liberty Park across the
Liberty Park, excuse me. Yes, Liberty Park. The only issue with that is that there's
no display area.
Right. That would be something where I would have to make something, or whoever is creating this with me, we would make something that could be easily set up and then broken down. And it would just be there the same, like a temporary installment type of thing.
Well, I wouldn't want us to move forward with anything in Liberty Square without having the discussion with the Port Markers project, because they are working in fundraising to install a permanent memorial there as part of their work, recognizing the damage that the slave trade has done in Newport. So that would we would want to involve them in any ideas that were in Liberty Square.
And does anybody have other ideas or recommendations? The only other place that came to mind for me that wouldn't require building or installing something was also the forgive me, I'm drawing a blank. The square where the Pickens Theater does have like a bit of a low
Washington Square,
thank you, has a wrought iron fencing around it that could potentially support something such as this.
So I think that there are still a lot of details that need to be worked out, Hilary. I think that a good idea would be for us to continue this for a couple of meetings and have you work with the city and the local community, some of the groups that I referred to you when we spoke earlier, and
Mayor,
come up with a more concrete plan. I do want to recognize folks who still had questions, counselors who still had questions.
Yes,
I just
there
want
are
to put
counselors who
this
still
out
have
there.
questions.
Yeah, I just want to put this out there because I know that you want to install this and do the right thing, but I think that's something that we will need to consider as a council, is the fact that you don't have a solid concrete plan yet. So I'm going to recognize, I know that Councilors Taylor and McLaughlin have their hands up, and I know you do as well, Councilor Leonard, but they have theirs first. So I'm going to go recognize Councilor Taylor.
So Hilary, I wanted to thank you for a well thought out, for a good presentation. And it sounds like you have been thinking about this a lot. And I think it's a really important idea to happen. And I just wanted to say that I want to be certain that what gets installed is truly going to honor those people whose names we are saying on the memorial. And so, not to micromanage, but the lamination, I go to FedEx periodically to laminate things, and their lamination is pretty good and strong. And that was, my fear was that you'd have photographs put into like a plastic sleeve or something, which immediately gets water damage. And it sounds like you've thought that through. The one thing, as far as location, I feel like that's not really a good topic for tonight's discussion. And I understand the immediate attraction of a chain link fence because your structure is already there. I think also we can only be approving a temporary installation tonight. I had been hoping that there would be a real coalition of community organizations that would be working with you and backing this project as well. And that's what I'm not seeing tonight, but my understanding from talking to people is that you're working on that, which is great. My inclination would be to approve your proposal for tonight. If you can assure me that you are indeed bringing together a coalition that would be working with you on the details. And then, of course, that the details will be worked out with the city administration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. And I would welcome, if not here, if you are open to conversing outside of here. I'm an artist and a small business owner. I do volunteer, but I don't have a lot of experience in working
I'd be happy to talk
with the state or the city and organizing, in such a way. I have served on other event boards and whatnot, so I have a little bit of experience. I should not give myself any credit. I have some experience, but I would love, more feedback. I have reached out. Thank you, Mayor Bova, for your recent suggestions. I had reached out to some larger organizations that have local chapters that work in this area and serving communities around the country. And I also reached out to those that Mayor Bovo graciously shared with me. And I have heard back from a few people, which is fantastic. So I guess that's how coalition starts in the conversation. So, but yes, I'm open to, in the previous examples that I had been inspired by, I'm not sure that all of those had followed the same path. I can only speak for myself. And I know that I did not want to do something that would not either represent in the best way or worse, be vandalized or be torn down or not really appreciated for what the intention was. And so that's why I'm taking the time to go through all of these steps, and I don't mind.
Thank you, Hilary. I want to recognize Councilor McLaughlin in his question.
Thank you. This is Councilor McLaughlin. I saw the city manager had his hand up. I actually wanted to find out if he had something he wanted to offer before I done.
So Councilor Segley has the city manager's logo label. So when you see that was actually Councilor Segley.
I think I deleted my panelist links.
Anyway,
Sent me his at the last minute.
I think this is a great project. My concern is that where its installation location doesn't give it the credit that it deserves, and that I would ask the city manager, and I would vote to approve this tonight, to be worked out with the details to be worked out with him. But I can visualize in my own mind a couple of sections of construction, fencing that could be moved from different places in the city. We could set it up in Washington Square for a while. We put it in Toro Park for a while. We can set it up in front of the high school and the Pell School. This is worth investing in, and investing in such a way that it has a life longer than a couple of weeks on a fence. So I hope we can work out some details where there are other opportunities to display it in the city, and I would support them.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor Leonard, did you have follow-up questions?
Follow-up, after listening to everybody, I agree with the mayor that the details are vague at this point. If we were to approve it tonight, I would approve a 2-week temporary display at the Martin Luther King Center that would be worked out with city administration, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. Councilor Napolitano, did you have a question?
Not a question. I just would acknowledge that certainly there are different locations. However, a meeting with administration could clarify this. If we were approving this on the basis of the fencing on Edward Street, that would be one thing. But, you know, I just think perhaps a meeting with administration and more decisive information would be very helpful. I think it's a good project, and I would agree, you know, it's something that could be moved around, but, you know, that I really just don't know enough about it. The pictures are great, and I think it would work well in that location. However, maybe there's something more to this.
Thank you, Councilor Napolitano. So Hilary, are you, or, well, I'll let Councilor McCalla speak before I ask my question.
I just think, you know, this whole conversation has warranted probably a more desire for more concrete information. And I do think that it would make sense to continue this item at this point until, like, you know, a decisive decision can happen at this point. It just seems like there's lots of possibilities with this particular project, and I want to make sure that you know, we're doing our due diligence to honor the intention of this. But again, there's more questions that need to be answered that I think continuing it would allow an opportunity to kind of create something more concrete in this sense.
Thank you, Councilor McCalla.
I just made a motion to continue.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Segley.
Second.
Which we now have you labeled as. Hilary, there, you know, we have the motion and the second to continue. Can you, I think we on the council, we are supportive of the idea. I think it's a wonderful idea with a lot of really good potential. Can you, in the interim until the next meeting, set up a meeting either in person or on the phone with the city manager and some other city staff to discuss this more in depth and come together with a more in-depth plan?
I would love that. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I love every one of your ideas, constructive. It's really awesome. And I think, like, I'm leaning myself towards the direction that we could go ahead and do it immediately, you know, given the nature of the materials and the original proposed location. But I do agree that it does kind of defeat the purpose of the intention behind it. While it's not about perfection, it's about progress. By not taking the time to kind of formulate it better, it becomes more like a flash in the pan, which is what I don't want that to be at all. I think that
Thank you.
It would be amazing to have something like what Councilor McLaughlin was saying about that. That's kind of my more recent vision as it evolved, just like having something that could be easily constructed and built and safely installed, and then could also be broken down, and it could be a traveling or a portable thing so that it could be moved around the city and or maybe the state. You know, maybe this is something that, like, we do as a city and it's so widely and well received that the state wants to have it on display in other places, you know, maybe at the Capitol or, you know, at the State House or whatnot. I think, yeah, I'm totally open to, you know,
Thank you,
formulating
Hilary.
it more, and I love your help and your feedback. So
Great.
let me know how I can reach all of you or whomever would like to continue the conversation to plan before the next meeting. That would be great.
Thank you. Yes, we will make sure that someone from the staff is in touch and you can set up a meeting. So I'm going to call the roll call vote on the motion to continue. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard? Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
Application for a vittling license, new location, Radish Patch LLC, DBA, Vieste and Vino Wine Bar, Yagi Noodle in the Cafe, 580 Thames Street, units B101, B102, B103, and B104, in conjunction with liquor license transfer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So this item has is in conjunction with the liquor license transfer, and I know that there will be a lot of discussion there. So I actually make a motion to continue this item to be discussed in concert with the liquor license transfer so that they can be discussed together. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCallum?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
A public hearing on a new entertainment license, Class A indoors, L&B Associates LLC, DBA Stoneacre, 151 Swinburne Row, to have entertainment Sunday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
This is a public hearing on the entertainment license, and if anyone from the public would like to be heard, if you are attending via Zoom, please press the raise hand button in the participants column, or if you're on the phone and would like to be heard on this item, please press *9.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
There's a motion to close the public hearing. Is there discussion on the council? I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCallum? Oh,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano, did you have a comment?
I'm a little confused. I mean, I understand them wanting the license. However, I don't think that there is any indoor entertainment at this time. Are they aware of that? And that's a question for the manager.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Seaman.
Aren't we in the middle of a roll call vote to close the public hearing?
Yeah, so we'll close the public hearing and then we can approve, Counselor Napolitano. Did I call on you for your roll call vote to close the public hearing, Counselor McLaughlin?
Well, I'll say aye, just in case you did.
Okay. Counselor Napolitano? Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. And so the public hearing has been closed. I move that we approve the entertainment license. Is there a second?
Second.
So with that motion in a second, we can have the discussion further, and Counselor Napolitano.
Yes, I would like to hear from the manager in terms of the entertainment license. Is it by virtue of the fact that they want an entertainment license for when the time comes available that they can do indoor entertainment?
No, Joe Nicholson, city manager, indoor entertainment is allowed. So I'm not sure where you got the impression that it wasn't.
Oh, we're not talking anything live. We're not talking musicians and things. You're talking music.
I don't know what they proposed. I didn't look at the application that close. This is for the indoor Class A. The first hearing on it. You're going to have a second hearing at the next meeting. And indoor entertainment generally is allowed.
And Counselor Mr. City Manager, just to clarify, I mean, they would need an indoor entertainment license, even just for like amplified recorded music to be put in throughout the space as well, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's the question I was asking, you know.
Yeah. Councilor Taylor?
Madam Chair, I'm just pointing out that on page 2, they are saying yes to a band, number of members 1 to 5, dance, yes, movie, yes. I think they sounds like they're wanting to have their options open.
Yeah, and I think that it would be subject to staying within the restrictions from due to COVID from the state.
And Madam Chair, I just wanted to add that if we had had a representative here, I would have been asking about the map they provided us and the orientation, wondering where is America's Cup and which direction is Thames Street, just so we can get a sense of how.
Well, I don't know if there is someone, and there is someone with their hand up, Trip Allen. I don't know if that is a representative, but could we recognize that person?
Thank you, Mayor Bova. I'm a resident at Bridgeview Condominiums on the north side of the hotel, so I'm here to speak when it's my turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Is there anyone from the restaurant who can speak to this? I don't know who. Christopher Bender is the name on the application as the representative. It doesn't appear that there is anyone, but like the city manager said, there is, we will have a second public hearing as well. Councilor Leonard, did you have a question?
I would say that because there's no representative of the business, that we would continue it till we get more information. So I would make a motion to continue till we get more information.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to continue. Before we vote on that, even though the public hearing has been closed, I want to be flexible as everyone still continues to adjust to the virtual meetings. So I am going to allow Mr. Allen to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Bova. I've lived at Bridgeview for 14 and a half years. As everyone is aware, on our north side, we have a apartment project known as Festival Field, and we have a considerable noise problem.
Madam Chair,
Oh,
Madam Chair,
Mr.
he's not talking about the right project.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Mr. Allen, we are not at the item for the Wayfinder. Right now, we're at the item for Stoneacre, which is on Thames Street.
My apology.
Thank you. So there was a motion and a second to continue this item, given that there's no representatives here from the establishment. Is there discussion on continuing? Hearing none, I will call the roll call vote. And Councilor McLaughlin, did you want to say something?
I would, yes, thank you. All things considered, I think the application in many ways speaks for itself. It asks for an entertainment license. It tells you what they want to do, when they want to do it. And in that, we're going to take this up at another hearing. I don't think there's really any good reason not to go ahead and approve it, with the condition that if there isn't anybody at the next meeting to answer our questions, that we won't approve it on second reading. But I don't think there's any reason to delay taking action tonight.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. I agree. I think that we can move forward, but there was a motion and a second to continue it, so we do have to vote on the motion. So I will hold the roll call vote on the motion to continue. Councilor Segley?
No.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
I'm sorry, could you repeat yourself?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilor McCalla?
Nay.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Nay.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Nay.
Mayor Bova? Nay. The motion to continue fails. We have in front of us the motion to approve, and again, reminder, there will be a second public hearing. And we will make sure that someone from, Madam Clerk, can you make sure that someone reaches out to the establishment to make sure that they are here?
Yes, I
Thank
will.
you. So I will, if there's no further discussion on the council, on the approval, I will hold the roll call vote to approve. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
A public hearing on an entertainment license expansion, Class B outdoors, Newport North Hotel Property LLC, DBA The Wayfinder, 151 Admiral Calfus Road, to have entertainment located on the pool deck area Monday through Sunday from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Thank you. And this is a public hearing on the entertainment license application for the Wayfinder. And Mr. Allen, this is the item that you had wanted to comment on. So I'm going to recognize Mr. Allen first.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bova, and I apologize for stepping in at the wrong moment. As I was about to say, I've been a resident here since spring of 2006, and as all residents are, we're aware of a noise problem on our north side with a unit or a development called Festival Field Apartments. So we're sensitive to noise in the area. So several of the residents are keenly aware of this issue that's now come up on the south side at the hotel. And in reading the documents that you've provided to the public at your website, it looks like it's outdoors, it's a band, amplified music until 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday, I believe, which means most of the week. And a lot of the people here work at the military base, meaning they get up early in the morning. And I know that a lot of us are upset and concerned about the possibility of having music until 11 o'clock at night, number one. And number two, the sound carries very closely. We're not that far away. And unless there was some sort of sound barrier, we are not protected, and we're going to get the full effect of it. So we want you to know how much it would affect our quality of life. And about half of us, at least, are owners of our units. There are a number of rental units here, but there are a lot of owners, and there are also a lot of family units here. It's not just adults. So I thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and hope you'll consider it in making your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Can we recognize their Zoom ID is showing as Flash ZD? Can you please identify yourself with your full name and address for the record? I think you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. Jim Mariziti, 66 Girard Avenue, apartment 316.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Madam Chair, City Councilors, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Jim Mariziti, and I am President of the Board of Directors of Bridgeview Condominium Association. I speak tonight on behalf of the association in opposition to the application of the Wayfinder Hotel for an expansion to their entertainment license that will permit live amplified music 7 days per week from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the outdoor pool area that faces our property. The association, consisting of 96 units, strongly opposes any type of outdoor amplified music at this location. As direct abutters of the licensed premises, it is our position that our quality of life, as well as our value of our properties, will significantly and adversely be affected if the license expansion is granted. We respectfully ask that you reject the application on its first reading. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mariziti. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on this item? And again, a reminder that if you are using the Zoom application, you can press raise hand in the participants column. And if you're on the phone, you press *9. Can we please recognize HP admin?
Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you please identify yourself with your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Rich Hudson. I'm a resident of Bridgeview condominiums as well. And I think I speak for several residents that would be adversely affected by this entertainment license. Many residents have small children, and this would dramatically affect their way of life for any type of entertainment that would go on until 11 p.m. And the way our complex is laid out, it's like an echo chamber when someone just drives by with their car stereo. You know, it's very loud. And I just think I speak for many residents that I've spoken to that this really isn't a good idea and it would affect our quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on this item? Can we please recognize Richard Semko?
Hello. My address is 222 Corey Lane in Middletown, Rhode Island, but I own 4 of the units in Bridgeview at 66 Girard Avenue. Am I allowed to talk even though I'm a Middletown resident?
Yes, thank you.
I just want to make sure. My wife and I lived there. I lived there for 10 years, and one of the 2 units most directly affected by this proposed license, the end unit of Building 2, and I also have another one, the end unit of Building 3, directly adjacent to the pool. I just want to say that for the past 10, 15 years, the mainstay was never an issue with noise. And now I'm concerned because, as the last speaker just said, I have tenants. And they're both professional, both sets of professional engineers at Newark. They have small children. I don't want to lose these tenants. And I know they're not going to want to stay there. And I'm going to have an extremely difficult time trying to rent these units out. And obviously, I'm also concerned about the property values there. So I beg the council, please don't approve this license. And that's it. Thank you very much. Oh, also like to thank Councilor Napolitano and Councilor McCallum for listening to me for the past week with my concerns, and that's it.
Thank you very much. I am wondering if Mr. Turner Scott is on the line because he is the attorney representing the Wayfinder, and I know that there have been some modifications that were submitted by the applicant. Can we recognize Mr. Turner Scott?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I got into this a little bit late. The application was put in by my clients prior to my having an opportunity to sit down and speak with them. I have provided to the council a outside entertainment conditions and hours of operation, which may need to be tweaked a little bit and modified. But the plan, let me say first of all that the pool area is enclosed with a 12-foot fence all the way around the whole pool. Building 3 and the property line, from the property line to the pool fence is 200 feet. From the property line pool fence to building 4 is 287 feet. To building 3, it's 273 feet. I'd also point out to the council, I think the council is aware that this property, the Wayfarer, is in a commercial industrial zone. and the Bridgeview condominiums is in a residential zone. My client is willing to abide by the DBA DBA decibel readings for a residential zone, which is 65 decibels from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and 55 from 10 from 10 at night until 7 in the morning. But I would want to point out that the hours of music will not be to 11 o'clock. They'd like to have music, some light acoustical music between 12 and 6 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Sundays, they'd like to have acoustical, a DJ there at the pool from 12 to 6. And again, you won't have the same live acoustical music at the pool at the same time you'd have a live acoustical. Might have a small jazz band there that would have some amplification. We would like to have some night music there from 6 to 9. Again, light acoustical stuff or small jazz bands. We'd be glad to work with Bridgeview, to speak to Bridgeview. I tried to get in touch with Mr. Marizetti today, but Mr. Cotta, who is the representative, the manager, at least the manager that I was directed to, gave me Mr. Marizetti's phone number, and every time I called it, Google came in and said they weren't talking to people, or they weren't going to talk to me, I guess. But I just want to make sure we're not talking about 11 o'clock at night. We're not talking about going over the decibel reading. We're talking about a piece of property that the location is enclosed, like I said, with a 12-foot fence, and it's 287 feet away from one building and 273 from another. And I'd like to be able to work with I'd like to be able to meet with the residents or the president of the board or whoever they want to have meet. I suggest that maybe you want to continue it so we can meet with them. We might want to have some, a band show up or have some music there so we could test it. And we could do that at different hours. I don't think this new owner of this hotel wants to come into the neighborhood and disrupt the Bridgeview condominiums. He doesn't. They're putting a lot of money into this hotel, and it's a hotel. They're not going to want to have rest. They're not going to have music until 11 o'clock at night when they have guests there. That's just not going to happen. I don't even think the pool's open until 11 o'clock at night, to tell you the truth. And so the maximum they would be is to 9 o'clock at night, and we would observe the residential decibel level. So that would be my thoughts, at least at this point. We haven't had an opportunity to talk to the residents, and already we've been, they're showing up with pitchforks. So it just seems to me that it's kind of early. We'd like to be able to talk to them and maybe do some testing out there to make sure that they aren't disturbed.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. I know that there are many counselors who have their hands up, so I'm gonna keep the public hearing open, but allow counselors to discuss, because I imagine that some of you also have questions for some of the residents who have spoken. Counselor McCalla?
This is Counselor McCalla. I like the idea of Turner, so the Wayfinder also meeting together with the Bridgeview Condo Association. I think that the proposed new times need further discussion. I think that we all understand that the Wayfinders are new owners, and I don't think that it would necessarily hurt to start building the relationship as good neighbors. And so I would not be opposed. I would want to continue that, and in hopes that Bridgeview Condo Association as well as the Wayfinder Hotel could have an opportunity to discuss further.
Thank you, Counselor McCalla. Counselor Leonard?
Thank you. I have to say that, excuse me, can you please put the dog out? Thank you. I'm sorry for the disruption. I have to say that I empathize with the neighbors. Oftentimes, and I don't mean to prejudge anybody, but oftentimes things start out with, well, you know, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But the application was until 1 a.m. and they changed it to 11 p.m. And I can say that I think residents deserve to have a good quality of life. So my personal feeling is that maybe it's good for them to have a conversation, but my feelings are that the residents there have enough to deal with as is. And if the vote passes to do a continuance, so be it. But if we were to vote today, I would vote no on the license.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. Councilor Napolitano?
Yes, I received many phone calls about this. First of all, it's in an area that they've never had an outdoor license. 250 feet or a little bit more is not that far. And they could hear that music. The application itself, again, they pointed out they reduced it from 1 a.m. to 1 a.m. to 11 p.m. I just think they have an indoor space where they, after this COVID thing, they used to have music in there. They would have dance in there. They have always been a good neighbor. And in fact, it's always been considered really a place for many locals, particularly in the north end, to go in, grab a bite to eat, maybe have a drink at the bar, maybe listen to the music, but to have it outdoors, I just, that's just too many families that would be affected. I think we're opening up a can of worms. I would not support a continuance on this. I certainly would like to welcome them, but to utilize the places that they have and where they have had the entertainment. This is all new at the pool and very close to a number of families, more than 60 families. So I would not support a continuance. Maybe they still would want to have a conversation, but having they are in a commercial area, and Bayview is residential, and I think particularly when we're talking about the north end now, we need to be very, very careful. We've already seen the downtown area, what has happened, and I certainly wouldn't want that to happen to families here. They talk about 6 musicians, drums, piano, and maybe at some point in the future, they would want a special event. And certainly they could apply for something like that. But to have it, all week long, from early afternoon till later in the evening, I just don't think it's necessary. I think they have an indoor area which they can.
Thank you, Councilor Napolitano. Councilor Taylor?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Mr. Scott, you made it sound as though you were retained just recently and the owners had put in this application themselves. And I think with your email to the council, you've tried to modify some of the requests that we are looking at on this application. Those modifications are welcome, but I just, we have kind of been through the mill with Gurney's and the Point, and I don't see Mr. Hospad's name among the attendees. I don't know whether he is listening in on this call or whether he's going to take your report, Mr. Scott. But when I'm making a judgment on an application, I really want to see a map that shows not simply the pool deck area, but also how that pool deck area sits in relationship to north, south, east, west, and the neighbors. Because when we're talking about noise travels, and yeah, 273 or 287 feet is not that far for noise to travel, particularly when there's water involved. I couldn't make out on this map that's part of the application where the speakers will be located and which direction they would be facing. But since the map that's included doesn't really show where the Bridgeview condos are, if the speaker direction wouldn't have been that much help on this map. So just for the record, I always like to see more detail in the diagrams and maps that were provided. But I also wonder whether Mr. Hospat has looked into the, I don't know the official name for them, but it's a type of speaker that Frank Dwyer first mentioned in connection with Gurney's problems. And it's a speaker where you have the full volume for the first 50 feet. And I don't know if it's 50 feet exactly, but the concept is that the decibel level diminishes the farther away from the speaker that you get. And it's sort of specially designed for that. I would like to think that Mr. Hospat, who I know has put, just a lot of heart and effort into renovating the hotel, and I know he wants a revitalized and very successful business, and I appreciate that. I'm trusting that the neighbors would be willing to talk over with him and their council now, what modifications might make for a happy relationship. Yeah, that's it for now. I see Mr. Mariziti has his hand up, so I would love to hear more.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you. The council's been down this road before on a number of counts. Being given a sheet of paper with significant changes to an application on the afternoon of a council meeting is both unfair to the council as well as all of the residents who had an interest in what was coming before us tonight. It doesn't allow us to have an intelligent conversation about what might actually be proposed. I will not vote for this license tonight. I'm going to bring up the example of Bel Mare that the council addressed some 12 or more years ago. We said no, but we said, come back, get a daily entertainment license, try it out. I don't think they should be allowed to try it out without a license. So I think we should vote to deny the license tonight, and we should extend to them the opportunity to come in and get daily entertainment licenses and try some paradigms out, but at the same time working with the residents. Other councils have made some very good points about directional speakers and what have you. And there's also the issue of it's a swimming pool, and by the middle of September, they probably won't let people swim in it anyway, but I'd be willing to give them a test, but on the basis of a daily entertainment license that we actually grant to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. I want us to hear one more time from Mr. Mariziti, but then, Councilor Segley, you have your hand up as well.
I'm just going to be quick. I just wanted to weigh in just to explain my vote. I'm going to vote no on this, but my vote does not preclude them from meeting and from coming to some sort of compromise for future times. I think that perhaps more structured events would be a better way to go in order to try this. And I think that I know that there's been a lot of money spent on this, and I can appreciate that, but I think that the discussion with the neighbors should have taken place before it came to the council. So I would suggest to anyone who has an application such as this that is so different from what that to change the tone of the neighborhood, so to speak, is something that should really happen before it comes to us.
Thank you, Councilor Segley. I agree. That's a really good point to make in that way. Can we recognize Mr. Mariziti again? Mr. Mariziti, can you please go ahead?
And this is Bill Mariziti, actually, not Jim. He happens to be my brother. But if we're different people, I live at 66 Girard Avenue, Unit 219.
Thank you for clearing that up.
You're quite welcome. You know, I was told once upon a time, when you appear to have the votes, just shut your mouth. But there's a couple of things that I want to add to the conversation here, just for your consideration tonight and in the future. First of all, as I'm sitting here listening to this meeting, I'm listening to taps being played on the Newport Naval Base that is coming clear across the water into my apartment. Granted, not offensive, but in terms of what I listen to, both the taps and the reveille in the morning are very clear and loud in this complex. Number two, nobody has discussed the noise that emanates from the Walmart and Stop and Shop complex. Let me share with you that beginning at 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, we are frequently awakened, especially the people living in Building 4, are awakened by the sound of the delivery trucks backing up into the parking spaces. Now, I understand that's a commercial zone, but I'm talking about quality of life here. I'm talking about something that starts at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and now we're talking about a proposal that would have annoying noise, disruptive noise, taking place until 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. To me, when we talk quality of life, if the only hours we get peace and quiet are 11 p.m. until 3 a.m., I defy anybody to explain to me how anybody gets a decent night's sleep. And at the risk of sounding snarky, I'd like to ask the developers and their attorney, how many feet away from that noise do they live? Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, unless there is further discussion on the council, I will make the motion to close the public hearing. Well, it looks like there may be more folks who would like to speak. So Mr. Scott and Mr. Allen both wish to weigh in again. We will just ask you to limit, I'm asking you to limit your comments to 1 minute because we do want to get going. So Mr. Scott, if you can speak.
Thank you. I think I was the one that suggested in my opening remarks that we continue this matter until I can meet with the neighbors. I haven't been able to have a phone call with Mr. Mariziti. I'd like to be able to have his contact information, be able to speak to him and arrange a meeting. I'd appreciate it continued so I can get you the information that you requested. And I think to have have a meeting with the condominium association or their representatives and whoever else wants to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Mayor Bova. Just a quick addition regarding the noise. On occasion, sometimes between 11 p.m. and 1:30 a.m., there will be people in the parking lot adjacent to the pool of what was once the mainstay, talking, having a loud conversation at the top of their lungs, just chatting as if it's 5 in the afternoon. So the sound does carry, even for just conversational voices. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. So the public hearing is closed, and I am going to make a motion for discussion that I make a motion to approve the entertainment license. Because we have, thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. I would like to kind of add on to what everyone said about, there is another path forward still if this is voted down, where the developers and the management and Mr. Scott can still meet with the condo association. And I strongly urge the management to do that. I think it is still a good idea because you can do what was done with Gurney's and Belmare and other establishments in the city, where you work it out, try one at a time, and then if those work out, then it can be done in a more long-term basis. But it would allow the neighbors to feel a little more confident that they still have a voice in how it is adapted going forward. So I do encourage the management and the developers to reach out and discuss with the condo association, regardless of how this vote goes. So if is there discussion on the council? Then.
Yeah. I just want to re-emphasize that the music was never allowed on that end towards a residential development. The music was on the other end of the hotel inside. I just am really, really surprised that you would question, or not you, but anybody would question why the neighbors would be upset, and they were. And a good number of them had called me. There were opportunities, maybe because they didn't have an attorney before, opportunities for them to at least talk to somebody, and there was no attempt. It just appeared in front of us. So, I'm not going to support the continuance, but, I know that's the motion you're going to make, so.
Well, the motion that we have is the approval, and that's because any motion has to be made in the affirmative. So unless there's further discussion on the motion, I am going to call the roll call vote on the motion to approve. Councillor Segley.
Nay.
Councillor Leonard.
Nay.
Councillor McCalla.
Nay.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Nay.
Councillor Napolitano.
Nay.
Councillor Taylor.
Nay.
Mayor Bova, nay. The motion fails. Next on the docket, we have an item that was continued from the last meeting to appoint Paige Myatt to the Energy and Environment Commission, but I am going to pull that item because we have been, it's been confirmed that Ms. Myatt is not registered to vote in the city, and I don't believe that I know that has not changed since the last meeting. So I'm not sure, Mr. City Manager or Mr. City Solicitor, do I need to call the vote to pull the item from the docket?
You might as well.
Okay.
Just to be cautious.
Yeah, I agree. I make a motion to pull the item to appoint Ms. Paige Myatt to the Energy and Environment Commission.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to remove that item from the docket. I will, is there discussion on the council?
Madam Chair, I have it
Councilor McLaughlin.
I have it on good authority that she's purchased a house in Middletown, so you're doing the correct thing.
Thank you. So I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Sorry, could you go? I had an internet interruption. And this is
the
you
motion is to pull the appointment.
Aye.
Councilor McCalla? Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
A resolution celebrating the Ida Lewis Yacht Club for receiving the St. Petersburg Yacht Club Trophy.
This is a resolution that was submitted by Counselor Leonard. She is the first signee on the resolution, so I'm going to give the floor to Counselor Leonard to introduce.
Thank you. This is a resolution actually honoring the Ida Lewis Yacht Club, and I would like to read it. It's very short. Newport is called the sailing capital of the world, and its yacht clubs are recognized as having great economic impact that benefits Newport, its residents. And whereas the Ida Lewis Yacht Club was founded in 1928 on Lime Rock, which was originally a working lighthouse tended by Ida Lewis in Newport Harbor. And whereas on February 6, 2020, aboard the USS Midway in San Diego, the Ida Lewis Yacht Club received the U.S. Sailing's prestigious St. Petersburg Yacht Club Trophy for excellence in racing management during the 2019 12-meter World Championship Regatta in Newport. And whereas this is the first yacht club on Narragansett Bay selected for this honor in the 33-plus year history of the award, now be it therefore resolved that the city of Newport celebrates the Ida Lewis Yacht Club and its members who organized and ran this distinguished 12-meter World Championship Regatta. And this was co-sponsored by Councilors Taylor and Segley. And I vote for the approval and hope that the rest of the council recognizes this and that this be printed up in a nice copy to be presented to the Ida Lewis Yacht Club.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there discussion on the council? Hearing and seeing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley.
Aye.
Counselor Leonard.
Aye.
Counselor McCall.
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano.
Aye.
Counselor Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
A resolution endorsing the Newport Tartan.
This is a resolution that was introduced by Counselor Segley, so I am going to give the floor to Counselor Segley so that she can make the motion.
Thank you. Can we bring Kelly Cohen on as a panelist? The last four digits of her phone number are 3863. There she is. Hi.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
This opportunity was presented to me a couple of months ago by Kelly, and I just want to read some of the resolution. Whereas a tartan is an ancient tradition identifying and symbolizing families and clans, many cities and towns have adopted a tartan to symbolize the pride of their tightly knit communities. And whereas Newport resident Kelly Cohen envisioned the creation of a Newport tartan for several years, the COVID-19 pandemic gave her the time and the creative outlet to dedicate herself and her family to imagine, design, and weave a tartan that symbolizes the Newport community. I'm going to let Kelly speak a little bit about her experience in fundraising, but this the money that would go raised with this tartan to make scarves or other pieces of apparel would go toward the St. Patrick's Day parade. It would be a fundraiser. There are 6 colors that were chosen for the design and woven into the pattern. There's blue, symbolizing the ocean, Narragansett Bay, sailing. There's green for Irish heritage and historic preservation, the Newport Arboretum. There's yellow for the Gilded Age and optimism, white for religious freedom, history, goodness, and purity, red for Rogers High School and love, and black for Thompson Middle School, African and African American history. Also, there are combinations of colors, the red, white, and black for the Newport Public Schools, the red, white, and blue, the American flag, the white, blue, and yellow symbolizes the Rhode Island state flag, blue and white symbolizes Salve Regina University, and blue, white, and yellow, the Navy flag. This design has been approved by the Registry of Tartans in Scotland. The tartan must be officially registered to prevent mass production or sale from unauthorized businesses, and most importantly, keeps the design exclusive to Newport. So therefore be it resolved that the Newport City Council endorses the tartan created by Kelly Cohen and her family, and will submit this resolution and a letter requesting that the Newport tartan be an official within Scotland's Registry of Tartans. And be it further resolved that the Newport City Council thank Kelly Cohen and her family for bestowing a beautiful creative gift that symbolizes the strength, uniqueness, and resilience of the city of Newport. So you can see the pattern on the screen now. And Kelly, if you'd like to say a few words about your intention and how you came about this.
Certainly. Thank you for this opportunity. I wish we were all in person and you could see the pattern better than a digital display. The intention of this is to just bring forward the great pride that we all have for the wonderful community that we live in. I'm fortunate enough that I'm following the lead of my family from Western Massachusetts. I came here as a college student and has made Newport my home for over 30 years. And you can see maybe the button that I'm wearing on my chest. About 20 years ago in Western Massachusetts, they designed a tartan and used it as an opportunity not only to fund their annual St. Patrick's Day parade, but also to fund many youth opportunities that were needing funding or had lack of funding. And it is a great example for many years of how the community can come together and show their pride and wear their colors. The intention of this design is to be very inclusive. The history of a tartan is to be exclusive and just have it be the pride of a family name. But now that we're in 2020, this is an inclusive pattern. It's to include the entire community. Everyone can identify with the colors that were selected, and the colors were selected with great thought and consideration. And I'm just thankful for their support, and I hope that the council will embrace this and give us a brand new opportunity and a new tradition.
Thank you, Kelly. I just want to say that when Kelly contacted me about this, we were really like smack in the beginning of this, pandemic, and it was really a bright spot for me to think about, and something that could, we had to cancel the parade this year, and it just gave me thoughts of how we could support the parade for next year, and in the hopes that we are able to have one. But I just think that this is just a really nice way of starting a Newport tradition. So thank you. So I move approval.
There is a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the council? Councilor Napolitano?
I just want to say, all the different colors in the way it looks, what a beautiful idea. And the timing is absolutely perfect. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you for that wonderful endorsement. I also think besides pandemic, I think it's a time that we are inclusive in bringing people together. And the story of weaving fabric is a beautiful story of what our future should be, and stay strong.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, Ms. Cohen. When Councilor Segley brought this up, I think all of us got a little excited because it's, as she said, it's few and far between that we get these bright spots these days. So it's nice to be able to have something on the docket that we can really be excited about and embrace. Thank you very much.
And I'm hoping that we'll all be wearing the Newport tartan scarves next year.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Oh, sorry, Councilor Segley.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McCall?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you so much.
So we're gonna,
Thank
we'll
you.
get a letter and this resolution to you, Kelly, so that you will have it to be able to send to Scotland, okay?
That's wonderful. Thank you for the support, and I hope you'll all wear it proudly.
Thank you very much.
A resolution naming Pell School Gymnasium the Paul L. Gaines Gymnasium.
This is a resolution that was first brought forward by Counselor Segley. So again, I am going to give the floor to Counselor Segley to introduce and make the motion.
Thank you. I'm going to read this entire resolution. It's really not that long, but I just would like everyone to hear it. Whereas the Honorable Paul L. Gaines, former mayor of the city of Newport, passed away on June 25th, 2020. And whereas Mr. Gaines was born in Newport, Rhode Island, attended the Newport Public Schools, and graduated from Xavier University in Louisiana in 1955 with a bachelor's degree in education. And whereas Mr. Gaines taught social studies, health, and physical education at Thompson Junior High School and history at Rogers High School. And whereas Mr. Gaines served on the Newport School Committee from 1968 to 1972. And whereas Mr. Gaines in 1977 became the first African-American elected to the Newport City Council. And in 1981, his fellow council members elected him chairman of the City Council and mayor of Newport. Mayor Gaines was the first African-American mayor in New England. And whereas as a Rogers student, Mr. Gaines excelled as an all-state basketball and baseball player. He later served as the head coach of the Rogers High School basketball team. In 2002, Mr. Gaines was inducted into the Newport Sports Hall of Fame. And whereas the Pell Elementary School was built in 2012, a Pell Technology Fund was created and has received over $900,000 in generous donations. The interest from these funds would be used to purchase up-to-date technology for the Pell Elementary School. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newport City Council pledges $50,000 to the Pell Technology Fund over a multi-year period determined by the city administration to honor Mayor Paul L. Gaines by naming the Pell School Gymnasium the Paul L. Gaines Gymnasium, along with his photographs, so that all Newport elementary students will know of Mayor Gaines's extraordinary life and his contributions to the city of Newport and the Newport Public Schools. And I move passage.
Second.
There is a motion and a second.
I would
there
like
further discussion.
Well, I would just like to mention a little bit about this Pell Technology Fund. This came to me from Dr. Bob Power and Ruth Tumson, who have been involved since the Pell Elementary School was built to create a $1 million fund in order to bring up-to-date technology to that school. And with this contribution and with a $50,000 contribution from the school committee, which can be paid over a 10-year period, and that could be arranged with the city manager, we will get to the goal of $1 million, which means then now that 4% of that money could actually start being distributed through the interest of, and there will never be $1 million in that account. So this is something that I think honors Paul Gaines, who was an athlete, an educator, a mayor, and certainly his wife, Joeva, who's dedicated herself to the Pell School. And I think she was a longstanding school committee member with years of support from residents. And she also spent time on the State Board of Education. So I think this is an apt thing to do for the Gaines family and to remember Paul Gaines and for generations to come to remember him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Segley. Is there further discussion on the council on this item? And I would like to, thank Councilor Segley for bringing this forward. Ruth Tombson approached me about it as well, and I thought it was a really wonderful idea, and I'm happy that we're able to move forward with it. Councilor Taylor?
Thank you. Yeah, I just have such a full heart to support this resolution, and thank you, Lynn, for being the first to put this on paper. And it's such a fitting tribute to Paul because it covers the athleticism, it covers the interest in always keeping our schools up to date with advanced technology. And Joeva also shared with me that while she was going through the effort to get the Pell School built, he always had her back and was the one that she could turn to. And I'm just so happy to see this resolution on the docket. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor. Councilor Leonard?
I would just like to thank my friend Ruth Thompson for bringing it to my attention. And it's nice to support this in honor of Paul Gaines. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. Is there any further discussion on the council? Seeing none, I will call the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Memorandum from the city manager, update on a transportation master plan and green and complete streets.
I move that we receive this communication.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. I will open the floor to Ms. Reynolds to discuss this further.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'm here tonight to give an update on both the Transportation Master Plan and Green and Complete Streets. And I'm going to start with the Transportation Master Plan. Working cooperatively with city staff, the Transportation Subcommittee of the Planning Board, and the Newport Transportation Planning Committee, statewide planning has co-written and issued a request for proposals for the creation of a transportation master plan for the city of Newport. This will be the city's first comprehensive traffic planning effort. Statewide planning programs include a successful local technical assistance program for transportation planning to further cooperative transportation planning efforts between the state and municipalities. After review and approval by the City Council by Resolution 2020-45, a fully executed cooperative agreement was returned to the city on July 9, 2020. This agreement provides for combining resources and cooperating on the development of a plan to guide transportation planning efforts for Newport and to help fulfill goals and objectives of the state's long-range transportation plan. It's important to note here that city and municipality plans need to be consistent with state guide plans, and this is an effort to kind of work together at the same time, making sure that that they are consistent. And the next paragraph, since I submitted this memo, actually needs to be updated. So after August 4th, when this memo was prepared, I received a schedule from the state saying that the RFP, Transportation Master Plan, was actually posted on August 6th, and that's posted by the Rhode Island Division of Purchasing. On August 18th, any contractor questions are due back to the state. On August 27th, the answers to those questions will be distributed. And on September 9th, the bids are due. When the bids are returned, there'll be a selection panel and the city will have representation on that selection panel. So just as we were instrumental in the creation of the plan, and the plan is very much about our city, we will also have a voice in selecting the consultant and then also working with the consultant moving forward. I've included too, the entire planning process is expected to take approximately 2 years, actually just under that at 21 months. And so that people can see the intent of the plan, I've included that section. This is from the RFP draft that you saw when you were approving the cooperative agreement. Nothing's changed since then, but you can see this is very much tailored to the city, to its needs, and to its issues with transportation planning. And I'll answer any questions you have before I go on to green and complete streets, if there are any about the transportation master plan.
Ms. Reynolds, I have a question on a couple items. One is, when you say that the entire planning period for this is to take 21 months, is that from when the consultant is selected?
Yes.
And then,
so I'm not counting all the months up to now that we've worked on it.
Right. Thank you. And then can you go further into what that panel to select the consultant will look like? I know you said the city will have representation, but I mean, will they be outweighed by members from the state?
There'll be equal representation. We are selecting approximately 7 people from various interests from the city. So we'll have a substantial voice on the panel. The state will be there primarily for technical type assistance.
Okay, thank you. And then I just have one more question. You cite that part of the effort is how the city can work with the state to fulfill the state's long-range transportation plan. Just for clarification, is that plan fully complete?
They're still working on aspects of that. So one of the things that's really going to help us is some of the already information that they've already gathered, plant studies that they've already done, they will now be able to access and not have to duplicate. So that's the plan. And they constantly at the state level, just like we do at the municipal level, are updating and revising their plans.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes, thank you. And basically the mayor stole many of my questions here. So, but I'm not without. I just wanted to emphasize for anyone who's listening that this is the statewide planning office is our partner in this. It's not RIDOT, correct?
That's right. It's statewide planning.
Right. And you said we'll have an equal number of representatives, so they would also have 7 on this selection committee?
I'm not sure of that. I know that we'll have substantial representation of a number that we feel comfortable with in the planning department. I don't know exactly how many people are going to be there from statewide planning, but they're there to assist with any kind of technical issues, basically. So This is very much a plan that has been it started with a grassroots effort here in Newport, and it was brought together and supported by the resolution by the City Council, which led to the creation of this plan. So it's very much a Newport product and very much something that's part of our city, and the state will be here to assist and make sure the state is consistent with all of the state guide plans.
Thank you. That's reassuring. I think the question on my mind and the minds of many is, we have been commissioning this with the idea that we would be able to address how we can manage and in many cases divert, if you will, tourist traffic in our city, and how we can reclaim our residential streets for our residents. And I am worried that an approach by statewide planning might not have those concerns as priorities, that they may be looking more at public transportation options, alternatives to cars, but a little less of the concerns that I just mentioned, our tourist traffic, and thinking about a creative way to deal with that, and a creative way to design our one-way streets, and how to deal with the dearth of north-south thoroughfares in the city.
And I included in your in the memo the intent of the as we had written here in the planning department, and you can see the issues that are going to be addressed are all specifically issues that we have identified as being important. The state really didn't have any input on those. They really looked to the city to identify the kinds of issues that we wanted to study.
Okay. Let me just follow up on that then and go to the bullet point on the second page. It's sixth one down on the second page, where you're talking about matching the parking demand and supply for all types of vehicles. We just, I know, hope that parking will really be a priority, because that's one of the most frustrating issues for so many Newport residents. It's a brief description of the parking issue here, and I hope that the length of the description of the issue doesn't indicate any intent to minimize that problem.
No, that's definitely not the intention of that, and everybody understands the importance of the parking issue in the city. And that was, there's a full draft of the RFP that's available that I can provide for you if you want to look at that, where it actually, it further identifies these different bullet points and how they'll be studied.
Thank you. Is that draft available on the website?
It's right now, it's on the statewide website, it's on the APA website, and I forwarded to Tom Shevlin to post on the city's website also, but I'm not sure if it's there or not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Reynolds, could you send that draft to the full council, please?
I can, and it was also included in the June meetings information when you had voted on the cooperative agreement. It hasn't changed since then. So if before I get it to you, you need to find it there. It's the same as it was in June.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Taylor. Councilor McCalla?
This is Councilor McCalla. I think I share, I just want to echo Councilor Taylor as well. I think that there is a bit of concern in regards to the bridge realignment and how we'll kind of figure out, you know, how us as a city, what is the plan moving forward in regards to how we're going to move people through the city, you know, after the realignment is done. And I think I'm wondering, yeah, like I think that the plan needs to happen before the realignment is finished and not necessarily after. I think I share in that sentiment. We obviously have some issues in regards to traffic. And then also to, you know, in regards to, you know, the 7 people panel that's happening, I think, you know, I just want to make sure that it's equitable too, and that we're going to make sure that this is going to be even keeled all the way around. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McCalla. Councilor Leonard?
I just make this quick. I agree with Councilor Taylor, and I just want to make sure that the goals that are part of this transportation plan are beneficial to the residents and are able to move traffic along. And again, for the 100th time, I think that they ought to pull out the Foundation for Newport plan that was well done years ago and never implemented, but it's a good starting point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. I just have a follow-up question, Ms. Reynolds, kind of jumping on to one of the questions from Councilor Taylor. When the parking is looked at and addressed, will that be looked at holistically in a way that includes, you know, moving parking outside of downtown and some of the goals to overall make the city, the core of the city, a little more pedestrian accessible?
Right, all different solutions will be explored for that, including, you know, parking areas, outside transportation. And I also want to mention that the consultants being asked to, like we started the North End Urban Plan, to do a lot of public outreach meetings at the very beginning of the process. So there'll be a lot of opportunity for people to weigh in to specifically talk about the problems that they have and the things that they want to see addressed as part of this. And so that public outreach component is going to really inform how the solutions start to take shape. And I think that all of those things, obviously this is a very big problem that we've been looking at for a long time, and having a fresh set of eyes coming in and looking at different creative solutions will be a big help.
You took the next question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask about public outreach and resident involvement. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion on the transportation master plan section? Then I think Ms. Reynolds, you can move on to the green and complete streets.
Okay, so I just want to point out that the last bullet that was part of the transportation plan, master plan, says an understanding of cultural sensitivity as articulated in the Newport Comprehensive Plan, North End Urban Plan, and the Green and Complete Streets Ordinance. And so that sets us up for the Green and Complete Streets Ordinance that we're actually creating. So this started with a well-attended kickoff discussion with interested parties. There were probably about 30 people in the room. That was held on February 4th, and a follow-up meeting was held on March 2nd, at which time the group adopted a vision statement, which I've included below, vision statement for our Green and Complete Streets here in Newport. The process for creating the ordinance subsequently shifted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. An early draft of that proposed ordinance was submitted to the city solicitor and is currently under review, and discussion regarding the best way to approach enforcement is ongoing. But I wanted to mention that the concepts of green and complete streets are currently being incorporated into future plans. Staff has coordinated with Fuss & O'Neill, the consulting firm for the Whitwell Drainage Investigation and Flooding Analysis Project, and the draft North End Urban Plan and companion zoning incorporate green and complete street standards as well. So we are already, while we're still working on the crafting the ordinance, we are still working at putting them, the green and complete streets concepts in plans, ordinances, and in discussions with consultants. And I've included the statement below that was crafted. It's really very well done, I think, by a group of people who are very interested and committed to green and complete streets. And this was used as a foundation to create the policy and ordinance. And if anybody has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilor McCalla?
Just for the audience, for the purposes, what is the difference between green and complete streets and the master transportation plan?
So the master transportation plan looks at everything holistically. It looks at parking, it looks at streets, it looks at traffic, it looks at directions of streets. It's everything to do with traffic and transportation. And the green and complete streets is a way of constructing a street that accommodates all users and also provides for resiliency. So Broadway is a good example of a green and complete street where we have places for people walking, we have trees, we have drainage areas that are incorporated as part of the aesthetic of the street. There are somewhat bike lanes there. If there's any little shortage, it might be in the bike lanes. But I think, so the goal is to have a study by the Transportation Master Plan of the whole system and a goal of creating streets that accommodate all users and also provide for resiliency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Could you touch on a little bit what the implementation would look like? Because you mentioned in the update that the concept of the green and complete streets is currently being incorporated into future plans. What does that look like as it gets incorporated?
So actually what we're looking at is there are in the ordinance that we have actually implementation steps. So it involves all of the different departments, so the Department of Planning and Economic Development, Fire, Public Services, Police, Utilities, Zoning and Inspections, the City Solicitor, Planning Board, Zoning Board, the HDC, and the City Council will all incorporate green and complete streets and principles into their appropriate plans. So this happens citywide. This implementation will take about 3 years, and all of the plans, manuals, checklists, rules, regulations and programs should be looked at and updated to address these principles of green and complete streets. So that'll happen sort of across the city once this is adopted, and it'll be reflected in a variety of different plans that are used for review and evaluating projects.
Thank you. Are there any further questions by the council for Ms. Reynolds on either item? Councilor Taylor.
Wrong panel. Thank you. Yes, I think so. I sort of want to ask the question about how the North End urban plan, I know you have said here that the draft North End urban plan and the companion zoning with that, they incorporate green and complete street concepts. So are we looking at passing the green and complete streets ordinance because it's currently under review and discussions are going forward on that? Is that going to be sort of standing on its own? And can you talk about just the procedural relationship between the North End zoning and the green and complete streets ordinance?
So I'll see if I understand the question. So the North End urban plan calls for layouts of blocks and streets. And then because streets are so important to the character of an area, there are different types of streets defined in there, like different size and configurations of streets. But all of those streets that are proposed and that are new and going to be created are done with all users in mind, and they're also done to provide resiliency in the future. So those are all already, anything that happens as part of that North End urban plan, any new street that gets created should be created according to the plan, which incorporates green and complete streets in the plan. This separate ordinance that we're looking at now is sort of a policy statement for the city overall, saying that as we move forward, any new street that we create anywhere should be a green and complete street. And it looks at an implementation program of how we do substantial renovations or work at streets, what triggers that, like what percentage of a change, and any kind of change should be considering green and complete streets to the extent practicable.
Okay.
Did that answer that?
I think so. So the North End, but a follow-up would be the North End urban plan is going to include zoning. I think some people have been thinking that the plan itself is a plan and that will lead to and inform the zoning that we adopt.
Right, that's how all plans work, right? In the way that we have the city's comprehensive plan, and the way the comprehensive plan actually gets enacted is by a zoning ordinance. So the plan is sort of the idea, and then the actual implementation tool is zoning. And so that's the same way with the North End urban plan. So we have that plan, and then we have the zoning that the zoning working group has been working on that will actually allow that to happen and get built.
Okay. But adoption of the plan, the North End urban plan, is not going to mean that suddenly green and complete streets are in our zoning ordinance. It'll be
right. That's not going to mean that. That's going to be, they actually just, when they actually show how to build the streets with their design guidelines in the plan, those streets that they show how to build are actually green and complete streets.
Thank you. I know I'm parsing this like a lawyer, but I can't help that. And I think that it's people are merging these ideas, and I want them to understand what the steps are.
Right. There's a lot of concepts that people don't talk about every day. So
thank you very much, Trish.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote to receive this communication. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard? Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Thank you. Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Memorandum from the city manager, recommendations on short-term traffic solutions.
Madam Chair, I move that we receive this communication from the city manager.
Second.
So I'm actually going to make a motion that we continue this item. I was discussing it with the city manager earlier today, and in light of the additional time, the delay of school reopening, there is some additional time now to refine some of these concepts. So I move that we continue this to the next council meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I will hold the roll call vote on the continuance. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5938.
Madam Chair, I move that we request that RIDOT and the State Planning Council amend the Transportation Improvement Program to reallocate existing funding for the Thames Spring Streetscape Improvements Project in order to advance the TIP project associated with sidewalk improvements along Bellevue Avenue.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the council? I just want to ask the city manager if he can comment on this further. Him and I had an extensive discussion on it earlier today, and he helped me understand it further.
Yeah, Joe Nicholson, city manager, and Laura Swistak, if you could unmute Riccio. He has called in because he has the best background on this, but and Tom Shevlin, if you could, if possible, screen share a page 279 of the TIP program, just so the council can understand what we're talking about here. We currently have, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I hope everyone can see that, the screen share, but if you look at ID 5105, we have made application in the TIP program for Thames and Spring streetscape improvements, with some of the funds, $850,000, if you look at the 2020 figure in that under ID 5105, programmed to be used for design actually by the end of September, I believe. But the entire program, if you go into the right-hand column, the entire program dedicates, in the TIP program, $8.5 million to these particular streetscape improvements for Thames and Spring. I've given you some background in the council letter as to what occurred, and some of you are much more intimately familiar with it than I am, or lived through it. And so the idea here is, we heard your comments a few weeks ago, and to a certain extent the frustration perhaps on the continual maintenance program that we have along Bellevue. So we're trying to come up with a much more aggressive scheme, and if it's possible to get this $8.5 million reallocated for the use of Bellevue roadways and Bellevue sidewalks, we can combine that with, you go down to ID number 5107 in the TIP program, which also allocates $3 million for sidewalk improvements to address ADA accessibility deficiencies and installation of ADA curb access ramps and replace chipstone sealed sidewalks. The idea is we may have a very significant amount of money that we could dedicate for improvements to the Bellevue corridor, which are solely needed. What type of improvements, sidewalk or roadway, and the type of materials remains to be seen, but it's a way to move some funds in a positive manner forward so we can use them in the immediate future on something that we are at least have complete unification on, and that is the work on the Bellevue corridor. And Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you're there somewhere.
Nothing to add.
Great.
Thank you. Councillor Leonard?
I just want to add that I think this is a good reallocation of the funds if we can do it. The city's received funds, and I'm going to use the word bluntly, wasted $300,000 on the Thames Streetscape plan that no one thought was feasible. So I think this is a good relocation of the funds so that we can get something actually completed. Reallocation, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. And I agree. I think that this is a good effort to try and make happen because, you know, every council meeting when something related to Bellevue is on the docket, I think, you know, at least 3, 4, or 5, if not all 7 of us end up bemoaning the fact that it feels as if it's never ending, and trying to find a better way forward with Bellevue. And I think that this presents a really good opportunity. So if there's no further discussion, I will call the roll call vote. Councillor Seidley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5939.
Madam Chair, I move that we award the historic gravestone restoration and resetting contract to Beyond the Gravestone of Storrs, Connecticut.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the council? Oh, Councillor Seidley.
Sorry. I am just so happy to see this on the docket. We have, and I'm happy to see the city's commitment to working on these stones along with the Cemetery Commission. They have done such a great job, and I'm so proud of the commission. And I think that this is such an important part of our history, and I'm very happy to see us putting some money toward it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Seidley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the roll call vote. Councillor Seidley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCall?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano? Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5940.
Madam Chair, I move that we transfer $100,000 from the Bellevue Avenue Concrete Capital Project to the Building Improvements Capital Project.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the council? And I would just like to ask, well, more likely Mr. Riccio than the city manager, if you could just comment on this a little bit in terms of why you believe it's necessary to make the transfer and the potential implications of moving the funding away from the Bellevue project.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? Because as it was unmuting me, its voice drowned you out.
Right. It was telling you that it was unmuting you.
Yeah, I know,
So-
and I couldn't hear you while you were talking. You were telling me that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask if you can explain why you feel the why there's the need to reallocate the funding in the CIP, and what any potential implications are to the Bellevue project by taking that funding out of the Bellevue funding.
Sure. The prime reason is because after the last council meeting's approval of the amendment to the cupola project, our capital fund for building improvements is now at 0. And we had a couple of issues with the July 14th storm, as well as we anticipate, as we mentioned in that cupola project presentation, we have not started peeling the roof off yet. And with the current condition of what appears to be water penetration beneath the existing rubber roof, there's probably going to be another change order. Looking for potential candidates to move funds from. Many options had been removed due to the significant capital budget cuts associated with COVID to balance the FY20 budget. This current budget that we just entered in July had an allocation of $600,000 for Bellevue. At the last meeting, you approved a $300,000 change order to our existing contract, leaving a balance of $300,000. It's really one of the only remaining counts where there is some dollars, and I feel it's one asset over the other, and the roof at our center government facility might outweigh repair of a few joints that we've been over the past few years spending several million dollars on.
Thank you, Mr. Riccio. I appreciate that explanation. Is there any further discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5941.
Madam Chair, I move that we pass on, 5941. Sorry. Yep, I move that we award the contract for the NACTEC Automotive Shop concrete repairs to W.H. Pepys, General Contractor of Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5942.
And now I move that we pass on first reading an amendment to chapter 10.24 of the city's ordinances relating to special parking limits, and that we delete the requirement of a 15-minute limit on Thames Street, beginning at a point 10 feet south of Hammond Street and extending south for a distance of 20 feet.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
And Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn as council and reconvene as the Board of License Commissioners.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. I'll hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
The consent calendar.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
2020 Class A liquor Sunday selling renewals.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve 2A for KRG Enterprises, DBA Bridge Liquors for the renewal of their Sunday liquor license.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
And Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Class A liquor Sunday selling renewal application for new Newport Liquor, DBA Point Wine and Spirits.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
A public hearing on the application of Newport Prescription Center, Inc., DBA Island Wine and Spirits, 291 Broadway and portion of 289 Broadway, holder of a Class A alcoholic beverage license to expand the licensed premises into 287 Broadway.
This is a public hearing. If anyone from the public would like to be heard, if you are participating via the Zoom application, please press the raise hand button. And if you are participating via phone, you can press *9.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes. And I make the motion that we approve the expansion of the liquor license.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the expansion. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley, Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McCalla,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano, Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
Application of Radish Patch LLC, DBA Vieste, 515 Thames Street, holder of a Class BL alcoholic beverage license to transfer the location to 58 Thames Street, units B101, B102, B103, and B104. Change the DBA to Vieste and Vino Wine Bar, Yagi Noodle, and the Cafe.
This is a public hearing on the liquor license transfer to 515 Thames Street. If there is anyone from 515 Thames Street to 580 Thames Street, and if there's anyone from the public who would like to be heard and they're participating in the Zoom application, you can press the raise hand button And if you are participating via phone, you can press *9. And I know that there were some folks earlier this evening who did want to ask this question, so now is the time. Can we please recognize Christine Hendrickson? Or actually, before I do want to hear from the city solicitor.
Yeah, the only thing I might suggest, if you want to do it, is perhaps have Mr. Motlin be heard first, because I think he is, they've modified the proposal, and he'll explain, I believe, there's only 3 units involved now, and I believe there's only 1 business that's going to operate within it. So that may be helpful to redirect comments from the public.
That's a good idea, and I did speak with Mr. Martland earlier today, and he did clarify that. Can we, Mr. Martland, if you're on, could you please go into some of the changes that you are asking to be made to the application?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. David Martland on behalf of Radish Patch LLC. I also have with me tonight Tony LaRusso, who is the principal of Radish Patch LLC. As you know, Mr. LaRusso operated a restaurant at 515 Thames Street known as Vieste. His lease expired at the end of April. Mr. LaRusso also operated a cafe at LaRusso's Cafe, previously at the property at 580 Thames Street. Originally, that victualling license covered what is designated in the application tonight as units B103 and B104. That victualling license was issued in 2015 to Mr. LaRusso. The entity that he was operating under was TLC Enterprises LLC at that time. That was subsequently expanded to the unit that is designated tonight as B102, so that there were those first 3 units in that building that were operated under LaRusso's Cafe. That expansion occurred in 2016. There were 87 seats that were listed as the occupancy at that time. So in light of the fact that Mr. LaRusso was unable to work out an extension of the lease for the property at 515 Thames Street, and because he had acquired the property at 580 Thames Street, Mr. LaRusso sought to relocate Vieste to the location that had been LaRusso's Cafe, and also sort of a pop-up restaurant, the Yagi Noodle. And he was thinking about combining those into an overall concept for the entirety of the first floor. We've sort of looked at that and the challenges related to that, and we're amending our request so that what is designated as the 4th unit, B104, would and had the cafe associated with it, would be removed from the request. And so this evening we're seeking to permit, both with respect to the VIT license and the BL liquor license, to permit the 3 units that are designated as B102, B103, and B104, formerly had been the LaRusso's Cafe, to be operated under the DBA of Vieste and Vino Wine Bar as one operation. I think the application for the license indicates a capacity of 77. It doesn't necessarily tie in correctly with the floor plans, but I think that should be the limited capacity, should be 77 as set forth on the application that's before the board this evening. The application also shows a closing time of 1 a.m. And we understand that there's been concern in the neighborhood about the potential that this would be more than a restaurant, and that's simply not the case. Mr. LaRusso wants to operate the Vieste restaurant there. We would suggest limiting the hours of operation to 11 p.m., which would tie in with any type of restaurant operation. Would be respectful of the neighborhood. We certainly don't want to create issues there. Mr. LaRusso owns the property. He's got residential units in this property as well. It's a mixed-use property. Additionally, I think it's important to be able to utilize the 3 units because the unit that's designated as B102, or I'm sorry, B103, which would be essentially the entrance for the restaurant, is going to have a very limited type of capacity under all of the COVID restrictions. If you look at it, you've got to maintain setbacks off of aisleways, as well as in particular going to the bathroom, as well as to the seating areas. So there would be a very significant diminution in the actual occupancy under the COVID regulations that I think, unfortunately, we're going to be living with for a while. And for Tony, I mean, this has been quite an experience and ordeal. He had initially filed the applications back in March, hoping to have hearings in April. Like everyone else, has got caught up in the situations with COVID, and he hasn't been able to do anything. His business that had been a fairly successful business down at 515 Thames Street is shuttered. So we're thankful for the time before the board this evening. We are able to answer any questions. I do apologize for the lateness in getting some of this information to the council. Trying to respond to a variety of questions and concerns. We want to be a good neighbor. Tony doesn't live far from this, and neither do I. I live, up the street, over by Morton Park, and we want to see quality establishments that respect the community, respect the neighborhood. So with that, I would ask if the council has any particular questions that I failed to address.
Mr. Marland, I just want to summarize to make sure that I understood. So it will be the single restaurant that is called Vieste and Vino Wine Bar that will operate in units B101, 102, and 103, correct?
It's actually B104, 103, and 102.
Ah, thank you. And then what will the operating hours be?
The operating hours, the closing hour would be 11 p.m.
Okay.
You'd be open for potentially, what's that, 4? Likely opening at 4 p.m.
Okay. And then are you planning to have any outdoor seating?
Well, there are no applications for outdoor seating. However, you know, we under the regulations that exist for the COVID issues, we would think we would be applying for that type of relief.
But this application, I mean, does it include outdoor?
No, it doesn't. And in fact, I think in order to even get any outdoor seating, we would have to seek a special use permit from the zoning board, actually.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Mr. Martland, for explaining those changes. I'm now going to open the floor to members of the public who have questions or concerns on the application. And I first would like to recognize Christine Hendrickson. And I would ask Ms. Hendrickson if you could please identify yourself with your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Christine Hendrickson, and I live at 26 Dixon Street. And the back of my property faces McAllister, and the back residential parking lot to the property at Thames Street.
Please go ahead.
So I have a question based on these changes, which we are just finding out about this evening. What is going in the fourth unit? What is the plan for that fourth unit?
Mr. Martland, could you answer that?
Actually, there is no current plan for that fourth unit. Currently it is connected to the third unit, and that needs to be actually walled off. But there is no current plan for the fourth unit at this time.
I've submitted a letter based on the previous proposal, which I believe should be in the file. And I want to start first by saying that I appreciate Mr. LaRusso's closing the back gate to the lot on McAllister. That has been a tremendous help to traffic and safety in the neighborhood, particularly down McAllister, where folks have a tendency to speed and used to cut through that lot. My concern is when over the years after Ocean Breeze Cafe left that property, the 3 units that you're describing, I'm not sure of the numbers. I don't have the unit right in front of me, but there was the cafe, and then there was the front part of the cafe with the windows directly on Thames Street. And the third portion of that unit was never actually used really for food service. It was a couch and a lounge that also had indoor entertainment. So I want to make sure that is clarified. And that the interior design, that third unit was also walled off at one particular point in time, which I believe it's still walled off now. Is that correct?
No, that is not walled off.
Any longer?
No, it wasn't walled off at any point after it was.
It was.
Expanded into.
There was a lounge with a couch and a cafe, and then that lounge area was walled off. And then Yagi Noodles was in the main part, and then he redid what he is applying for now. My concern is just that the plans keep changing, so I'm concerned also with the precedent of what's actually going to go in there. In theory, I don't have a problem with a restaurant or a wine bar. I think previously his hours were until 10 p.m. I think as long as he's cooperative with the neighbors, I'm not necessarily opposed to 11 if it's quiet. My concern is then with the precedent that this sets for 3 units in that building, that it becomes a larger space that Mr. LaRusso could eventually sell. And then there's a larger space for another type of entity that could go to 11 o'clock that may not be a restaurant. So with the limited or the mixed residential business use, I'm just really concerned about that precedent. And then also about the parking and how the traffic flow would run into the neighborhood, or how the parking would go when the back lot is a residential lot.
We wouldn't be using the back lot. We wouldn't be using the back lot for the restaurant parking.
that's for the residents there.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
So just taking first the question of the parking,
Yeah.
there is a portion of the property to the rear that is zoned residentially.
Yes.
That'll continue to be used by residents of the building.
Okay.
We don't intend to utilize that for any of the customers. I think we have sufficient parking at in the front portion of the restaurant. And should we have the need, we could always certainly look into valeting, where we could actually stack up cars more densely in the front, particularly in the, I'm going to call it the northerly portion of the parking area.
Sure. So all cars would then be entering and exiting off of Thames Street?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and we would continue to keep the gate closed to prevent that traffic from flowing through there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. That answers my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hendrickson.
All right, if I could just make one quick response to the fear about the future license holder, that would always require action by the council before there was a transfer of a license. So yes, anyone in the future would be fully vetted.
Thank you, Mr. Marland. Can we please hear from Linda Letendre? Can you please identify yourself with your name and address for the record?
My name is Linda Letendre. I live at 25 McAllister Street, Newport. My property abuts the residential parking lot, and some of the questions have been answered. It's a residential parking lot, and it cannot be used commercial. It can't be used for storage. And I thank Mr. LaRusso for keeping the gate closed. And you answered the question about if it changed hands, it would have to go before City Council.
Yes.
So I'm all set.
Thank you very much, Ms. Letendre.
Thank you.
We have a phone number ending in 4084. Can you please identify yourself with your name and address for the record?
Thank you. My name is John Grenier. I'm a resident in the 5th Ward over at 34 Roseneath Ave. We have been in the 5th Ward and in the neighborhood for about a half a dozen years, and we've witnessed this property as was originally the Ocean Breeze, and seen other businesses come in and out. And we feel that this would be a great improvement to the neighborhood, to the 5th Ward. We've seen the improvements that have gone on the property over the past year or so. The property has been half vacant for many of those years. And to see this property revitalized, we think is going to be a huge improvement to the neighborhood. We've been to VSA over the past year, and they've done a fantastic job there. To see that move over to this location, I think would be even a greater benefit to the neighborhood. We would hate to see VSA have to go to a different location. It's a great neighborhood restaurant, and we hope that that would spark other revitalization within the property for some of the other leasable spaces. So we feel that it's just a great improvement to the area, to the neighborhood. The usable portion of the lot, it faces towards the Shell station and towards Upper Thames Street, which is obviously the more retail and restaurant portion. So there is kind of a physical separation before you get into the more residential areas on Lower Thames. So having that area where it's kind of an L shape, I think any of the so-called disturbance to any of the neighbors is sectioned off because of the way that the building is positioned and faces Upper Thames and the Shell station. So we don't see this as any way being problematic to the neighborhood. We feel that this is a huge improvement to this section of Lower Thames and the whole neighborhood at large. It's in walking distance to our house. It's a great spot, and we hope that this property really flourishes in the future. So we thank you for your time, and we hope that this property continues to be successful. They've done so much work to this property. They've invested a ton of money into it, and we'd like to see that continued investment in Lower Thames Street and the improvements to the property around there. So
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard? Hearing none, I move that we close the public hearing.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes. And I make a motion that we amend the application to include the changes that Mr. Marlin detailed.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to amend. Is there discussion on the amendment? Mr. Bean, would you like to comment?
Yeah, the only thing I might add, you might want to consider a condition that there be no access to that fourth unit 101.
Mm-hmm. Thank
We
you.
know the licensed premises are going to be units 104, 103, 102, but we also don't want any access, people going back and forth to unit 101.
Thank you. I will amend that motion. So the motion is to amend the application with the changes detailed by Mr. Martland and include the condition that access not be granted to unit 101.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the amendments? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote on the amendment. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano? Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The amendment passes. And now I make the motion that we approve the item as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the item as amended? Councillor Leonard?
Your motion is only to pass the amendment, correct?
We just voted on the amendment. Now it's the license as amended.
Okay, I have comments.
Go ahead, Councillor Leonard.
Okay, I received several calls on this, and I'd like to give you a history. I recognize that Mr. LaRusso has done a lot of work on the properties, and they look much nicer than they did, so that's a good thing. But as a history of what we've done in Newport for expanding licenses, before us tonight is the use of 3 units to expand the license from 1 unit into 3. And this area on Wellington is a limited business zone. The adjacent parking lot is in a residential zone. And what I can recall on the council, and I went back and talked to others, is the only restaurants I can recall that have expanded from one unit into another are Sardella's Restaurant that expanded his license into Ambriglio's, which is in a general business zone, and Restaurant Bouchard that expanded into the revolving door restaurant next door. And that one was in Waterfront Business District. So this one sits in a limited business zone, which has always historically been a buffer zone between business and residential zones. And even though I recognize the amount of work that's gone into this, I know that we also had a letter on the docket from another neighbor, and I know I received phone calls. My issue is that we're asking, or the applicant is asking for one license to be expanded into 3 units in a limited business zone. And that's a precedent we have not had before that I can recognize. So I have a problem with that.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Is there further discussion on the council? Seeing none, I am going to hold the roll call vote on this item for approval as amended. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Yay.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes 6-1.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn as the Board of License Commissioners and reconvene as council.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn and reconvene. Mr. Bean, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, don't forget about the vet license.
I didn't, don't worry.
But you moved into council, okay.
Yeah. I will hold the roll call vote to move into council. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
And Madam Chair, I move that we approve the application for the fiddling license for Radish Patch.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. I make a motion that we amend this application with the same amendments that were made to the liquor license and the condition that no access to unit 101 be granted.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to amend. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
A quick question. This is for the vet license only.
This is for the VIT license only, and right now it's the amendment to the VIT license so that the restrictions match the thank you. Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The amendment passes. And now we have the application as amended. Is there any discussion on the application as amended? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote to approve the VIT license as amended. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano? Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes. The only remaining item we have on the docket is the COVID-19 update from the city manager.
Well, thank you very much. I think, I'll be brief. I know you guys have spent a lot of time this evening on city business. The numbers increased by 5 over last week, so our running total is 130. Previous week was 125. The hospitalizations are at 89. Last week at this time, on Wednesday, they stood at 80. Just wanted to put it in comparison, the numbers, and not for any particular reason, because we're a small state, but I think Central Falls ticked up 34 cases this week. Pawtucket, I think they're in the 90s. Providence, 222. I don't want to say we're doing pretty well, because it's a perspective. Our cases are ranked or the numbers are based upon, for the most part, how you communicate your zip code, 02840. It still feels like at times we're walking on eggs with, or I guess we are walking on eggs with this pandemic, and you can, I'm sure you all had access to the press conference today. One of the things we were going to talk about last week when we were so interrupted by the storm was trash. The trash complaints seem to have subsided. We switched over a number of the big bellies to open containers. We put out those old Stanley Victors, those old attractive wrought iron ones, as well as cut some holes in the top of the totes. And we also increased our manpower over the weekend with some extra personnel, and that attacked the issue. And it's one of the things that I know all of you and I'm most sensitive about. And I haven't seen the problems that we were experiencing those couple of weeks. I don't know if the beaches seem to be going quite well. I had some drone footage taken last weekend between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon of both Rejects and Easton's Beach. I can show it to you very quickly through a screen share. This is Easton's Beach. Tom, if you could roll it, please. This is about, I think, between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think it's rolling very well, Tom, but I think you can get the sense. At least this is the western end of the beach, and it's somewhat moving very slowly. I guess it's really not droning, as it were, but Tom's pushing it forward. So I think you can get the sense of the social distancing on the beach at this time. Why don't we go to the other drone footage, Tom, if we can, which is labeled the Rejects Beach one, Tom, if you can bring it up, please. If not, that's okay, but same type of circumstance with regard to Rejects Beach as well. Oh, here we go. It's going to be labeled Hazards Beach, but it is indeed, it's Rejects, trust me. So you can see the distancing there. It looks pretty good. People are being very respectful. We do have some issues regarding masks down there, but I think you all should be happy with regard to the social distancing part, which is an absolute must in terms of this pandemic. Thank you, Tom. Masks we continue to grind out the mask issues. The volunteers, again, are doing a super job, and they'll be out again in force this weekend. I have some employees that have volunteered, so we'll be out there on Friday for a number of hours handing out masks. We did get a shipment of 4,000 white cloth masks that are all stocked up in my closet in my office, and we want to push those out, and we have a promise of receiving another 8,000 by the end of the year. Tom, I don't know if you can exhibit. We did have in the downtown area, we did have a loudspeaker going on Saturday and I think Sunday with regard to on a police car with regard to indicating that those are mandatory mask wearing areas, and I think the observations were that it was very effective. and we will continue to do that. Again, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, so we'll continue to push out that need. I would note for you, as I think you're all probably aware, is that the governor did remark in her press conference today that the community in Newport, for whatever reason, has really come together on issues of mask and mask compliance. And I thought there was, I think that those types of comments from the governor are only an incentive for us as a community to do much better with regard to compliance across the board. I'm always struck by the comment on one of the news commentators that if 95% of all people wore masks, then it could save 70,000 lives by the end of the year. I think that's telling. We continue to flood the city with signage in the downtown area. I got 8 additional signs from DOT, actually, some bilingual ones, and some other ones that we're going to try to figure out how we're going to deploy them, because they're the big metal signs, 30 by 30 inches. I have to mount them on something, but we'll just continue to work those masks and other compliance issues. I know that last week Justin had asked in an email about, among other things, about some raw data on the bridges, and or not raw data, asked some data, but I was able to get some raw data, and I thought it was interesting. I'll just share it with you really quick in terms of the cars coming over the bridge. On July 4th of this year, it looked like there was a very significant, we had 105% usage compared, so 5% increase over the previous year. On the other hand, running it out to August 3rd of this year, you're going to have 81% compared to the previous year. I would note, just it's because the raw data is kind of interesting, that the lowest usage was sometime in April, and the usage compared to the previous year was 34%. So there was a big trail off. But I would say on balance, the usage compared to last year, at least based on the raw data, is in the mid 80s, high 80s. That's about all that I have in a very brief manner, unless the council has any questions.
I want to add a real quick comment. Joe, I didn't get a chance to tell you, I heard from a business owner on Upper Thames who said that he, inside his store, heard the van going by with the loudspeaker proclaiming that masks are mandatory, and he said it was just great. Thank you for that.
We'll keep at it.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any questions or comments from the council?
Would just like to say thank you very much for everything that the city is doing to help us through this, and I'm glad to see that the governor has recognized it. So thank you.
And let me just make one other comment on the beaches. And it's anecdotal, but those pay and display machines work. They work very well, and people like to feed money into them. So I'm actually happy with the revenue numbers down in the beach, despite what we have generally about using about 45% capacity.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And yeah, I echo Councilor Segley. The city's been doing a really great job. If there's no further discussion on the council, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard? Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano? Aye. Councilor Taylor?
Aye, and can I let the record reflect that Councilor McLaughlin has replaced his background with a set of fireworks?
always exciting.
And Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.